Hello Battle Cats players, my name is Chance and welcome to my guide. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting cat, one that lends itself to a very specific playstyle. And well, there are technically speaking other cats that can do comparable, feats to this one. I still personally think Sports Day Cat holds a place in my heart. Sports Day Cat is a rare cat that can be unlocked by beating any stage in Autumn equals Sports Day, however in Battle Cat Pop it can be obtained from the gacha system. And as always, it is my hope that by explaining really everything there is to know about Sports Day Cat, you can make a more informed decision on how to best use them in your lineups, and how far to invest into them, if at all. Let's first get started by taking a look at its evolutionary line. Starting out with Sports Day Cat itself, whose description reads, the power of 3 cats and 1 tank cat. These cats love Sports Day and always strive for the top team. At level 10 it evolves into Kidnapper Cats, the power of 3 cats and 1 tank cat. Though an effective team, the tank cat is the victim, apparently. And after completing Sports Day Awakened, either the first or second stage, and is level 20 or above, it evolves into Rampage Cats. No one wanted to pay the ransom, so they just made the tank cat into a banner of victory, morally ambiguous efficiency, area attack. As far as Sports Day Awakens is concerned, the level is comprised of 2 separate stages, both called Sweat and Tears, 1 expert, 1 insane, but both costing 150 energy. And as far as probability goes, you have a chance of getting the true form version of Sports Day Cat on the expert stages, but you are guaranteed it on the insane. This event typically occurs from October 16th to October 31st. Now then, let's discuss performance. Sports Day Cat is considered to be a meat shield. Meat shield being a unit with very low cost, minimal recharge time, and preferably have either the survivability or high health. In addition to that, the pros for the unit are area attack, decent health, fast attack rate, and quick cooldown, and cons, a very high knockback count, very low attack power. And in addition to that, they do have the other trait of immune to warp while in true form. It is also worth noting that while in true form there's a substantial range increase, making this one of the few ranged meat shields in the game. We will discuss that a little bit more later on. Speaking of, let's now take a look at some gameplay as well as discuss some strategy for Sports Day Cat. As far as cost is concerned, Chapter 1 this unit will be 250 cents, Chapter 2 375, and Chapter 3 500 cents. Now then, before we even really start to discuss Sports Day Cat at all, it is worth noting the obvious here, and that is that the meat shield sector or category or class, whatever you want to call it, is pretty much meta-driven, almost virtually exclusively meta-driven. And by that what I mean is it's just dominated by tank cat, crazed tank cat, and normal and crazed cat as well. Really, those 4 units should, in theory, have all of your meat shield bases covered. And what's really holding Sports Day Cat back, funny enough, is actually his cost. Sports Day Cat is very expensive for a meat shield unit, and this really limits his potential use cases, especially on stages where cash is kinda short in demand. That being said, for what he is, he's not bad. His stats are pretty good for the very early game, however, as the game progresses, a racer cat just starts dominating the stats. So for its first 2 forms, it has a very small window of viability that not a lot of cat players are even going to have access to just because of the way this cat is obtained. Now then, as far as the true form is concerned, this cat actually has some interesting use cases. And what really allows that to happen is the fact that it actually has fairly decent range. There are a few stages in this game where having frontline enemies is just basically a death sentence for them. So having a ranged meat shield essentially gives you a second layer of defense. Usually the culprits for creating this kind of set of circumstances are Dolphina, as well as some of the Omni Strike enemies. There's also kind of an argument for the Bun variants and the Cories when they get paired up, as what this allows to happen is you to be able to keep your units safe, while at the same time not really worrying about the waves that the Cories create. It's actually pretty cool overall, and I may actually have to use this cat when we start discussing some strategies for the stages, just because it really does behave functionally so different while in true form than virtually the vast majority of the other meat shields. If nothing else, I think we'll open a couple people's minds up to the idea of maybe not entirely writing off units. Of course, there is also the argument to be made, however, that even with this set of circumstances being realized, Cameraman Cat and Jiangxi Cat are possibly or more than likely better alternatives. But still, I like the idea of this cat, and I really wish it would get a buff, but I doubt Ponos is ever going to revisit it. Now then, let's move on to discussing some cat combos. Sports Day Cat has access to Cats and Tanks, which is a cat cannon recharge up of the small variety and allows the cat cannon to charge for 5 seconds faster. This cat combo involves Sports Day Cat, Doll Cats, and Gentleman Bros. As always, first and foremost, I'm not really a fan of anything to do with the cat cannon. I just think there are much better cat combos in the game, and the fact that this is a 3 cat-cat combo, when I know for a fact there are 2 cat-cat ready to charge cannon ups, it's one of those things where it's just really hard to justify, and I don't really think it's worth taking. Next up, we have Headband Cat. This is a cannon power-up of the small variety and increases the cat cannon power by 20%. It involves Sports Day Cat, Grudge Cat, and Momotaro. And, once again, not really worth taking, especially in this case. As sad as it is to say, if you're using the cat cannon for attack power, odds are you should rebuild your team or get the fruit treasures from previous stages. The cat cannon doesn't really scale at all into the mid or late game, and it really serves as a way to knock back enemies or inflict or disarm certain status effects. And once again, a 3 cat-cat combo when I do believe there are 2 cat variants that lead to the exact same result. So overall, not really worth taking. And last but not least, we have Power in Numbers. This is a weaken effect up that increases weaken duration by 10%. It involves Cat Clan Heroes and Sports Day Cat. I actually really do believe that the weaken power-ups have a place in the meta. While weaken is certainly not required for every stage, it can make some of the more difficult ones far easier. The biggest impact of weaken is if your meat shields are being one-shotted, however the weakened version of the problem enemy actually requires multiple hits to break through your meat shields. This effectively doubles the amount of meat shields you have on any particular stage, which is kind of cool, at least on stages where that's an issue. Now then, I'm just going to flash you some charts pertaining to Sports Day Cat's various evolutions while reading out some trivia. Rampage Cat's design and Japanese name, Bo Tasui Cat, is a reference to Boy Tashi, a famous game similar to Capture the Flag in Japanese sports days. I do believe this is also featured in the hit anime series Assassination Classroom, and if you haven't watched that yet, I would highly advise it. Very good stuff. In the Taiwanese and Korean version of the Battle Cats, the cat tank is wearing a blue headband. Both stat-wise and cost-wise, this unit is literally a combination of 3 cats and a tank cat. This is of course only true until it hits higher levels, at which point it gets outclassed drastically by a racer cat. Now that you know what I think about Sports Day Cat, let's hear what all of you had to say about him. Cross/01 says, a cat alone is just a cat, but a team of cats can defeat any challenge. Also, it's Sports Day. All too true, brother, all too true. The ever-present Bee Eater says, Ranger Meat Shield moment. Very true. Gifted B YTSCP says, unfortunately, I don't have this unit, but other people say he's good, but that tank cat is more dead than Grandpa. It looks like what he did to get to that point. I'm not too sure about that last part there, but yeah, there are a few people who say this cat's pretty good. And I'm freaking stupid says Lucas the Fourth, which I believe is probably like a meme video Lucas made. And last but not least, Dabu19 says no comment, which is kind of an interesting thing to comment actually, but I don't know, I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you so much. And as always, if you would like to be featured in this part of the video, feel free to check out the community tab and comment on the relevant post there. And that's basically all there is to say about Sports Day Cat. Interesting design with a kind of niche role in the meta. Not bad, not great, but very circumstantial. And it's not really the cat's fault on its own, it's just really the class it occupies and how competitive it is and how defined the current meta is. It would take a lot to bring Sports Day Cat into the limelight, and honestly, Ponos is likely to never really have to rebalance this unit. But as always, let me know what you think about Sports Day Cat down beneath in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe for Cat God's blessing, and as always, I will talk to you all soon.